we're following breaking news in the case against Sean Combs. It took less than 30 minutes for Mr. Combs' defense to rest its case. No witnesses, no Combs taking the stand, and very little evidence presented to jurors. Combs telling the judge it was his choice not to testify on his behalf. Darla Miles has been following every day of the case and is outside the courthouse. And Darla, this was certainly a calculated decision by the defense.
Well, honestly, Sade, every decision by either attorney, prosecutors or defense attorneys, is very calculated in this complicated case. Over the last 6.5 weeks, we've seen emotional testimony from Cassie Ventura, emotional testimony from Jane, as well as thousands of sexually explicit text messages and sex tapes. So federal prosecutors say that proves their case, but defense attorney says it proves theirs. After 28 days of testimony about freak-offs, Wild King nights, and hotel nights, jurors seeing photos of baby oil, 7-inch heels, and a variety of drugs from the days-long sexual encounters with male escorts, federal prosecutors resting their case against Sean Diddy Combs Tuesday afternoon. Back in May, federal prosecutors set out to prove sex trafficking charges against Combs involving Cassie Ventura, an ex-girlfriend testifying under the name Jane, but a third alleged victim expected to testify, never taking the stand. This March 2016 video of Combs punching and kicking Ventura at an LA hotel played multiple times for the jury to try to show that Ventura felt threatened and coerced by Combs. And a security guard testifying that he took a $100,000 bribe to bury the surveillance video. A major part of the case against Combs involved his chief of staff and members of his security team, who prosecutors allege were part of a conspiracy and support account of racketeering. They didn't testify either. Christina Coram mentioned more than 175 times during the trial. Singer and musician Scott Mescudi testifying about a failed Molotov cocktail that burned his Porsche and believe Combs is responsible. Brianna Bongolan, a friend of Ventura, testifying Combs caused this injury to her knee by dangling her over a 17th floor balcony. Defense attorneys not calling one witness, instead delivering brutal and sometimes humiliating cross-examinations to point out inconsistencies, and also delivering what Judge Arun Subramanian once called a real Perry Mason moment. Sean Combs, for the first time, standing up to address the court when asked, "Do you understand that as a criminal defendant, you have the right to testify if you wish to testify?" Combs responding, "Yes, Your Honor." "Is it your decision not to testify in this case?" Combs saying, "That is solely my decision." Now, closing arguments are scheduled for Thursday. Both sides say it will take 4 hours. Reporting live in Lower Manhattan, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
The Sean Diddy Combs defense laid out their case to the jury on Friday, challenging the prosecution's argument that Combs was running a criminal enterprise and telling the jury that the sexual encounters they heard about throughout the course of this trial were in fact consensual. Now, in the prosecution's rebuttal, Maureen Comey said, quote, "For 20 years, the defendant got away with his crimes. That ends in this courtroom. The defendant is not a god. He is a person, and in this courtroom, he stands equal before the law. Overwhelming evidence proves his guilt. It is time to hold him accountable." The fate of embattled hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs is in the jury's hands as this weeks-long trial comes to an end. Combs is facing several federal charges, including racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The jury heard closing arguments from the prosecution Thursday. Assistant U.S. Attorney Kristi Slavic said the defendant counted on silence and shame to keep his crimes hidden. He thought his fame, wealth, and power put him above the law, but over the course of this trial, his crimes have been exposed. Slavic highlighted testimony from Combs' ex-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and the woman testifying under the alias Jane. The women testified Combs forced them to engage in sexual encounters referred to as freak-offs and hotel nights. In her closing, Slavic said up until today, the defendant was able to get away with these crimes because of his money, his power, his influence. That stops now. It's time to hold him accountable. Friday, Mark Ignifilo, an attorney for Combs, doubled down on his opening statement from May that the sexual encounters were between consenting adults, telling the jury they are swingers. They are avowedly swingers. This is their lifestyle. He also challenged the merit of the entire case and sarcastically referred to the searches of Combs' home in 2024, telling the jury boxes of Astroglide taken off the streets. Woo, I feel better already. Artificial lubricant, not for me. The streets of America are safe from the Astroglide. Combs did not testify throughout the course of this trial, and if he's convicted on all counts, he could face up to life in prison. The jury has been dismissed for the weekend. On Monday, they'll receive their charge instructions from the judge, and then we expect those deliberations to begin that day. In Manhattan, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.